Comic Book Savant, episode 388. Welcome back to the Comic Book Savant podcast. I'm your host, James Harris. This episode, I'm going to be doing a creator spotlight. I've been doing more and more of these episodes recently. Hopefully, going back, talking about some of my favorite creators, be it writers, artists, etc., in hopes to kind of explain to you why I love them so much, and at the same time maybe expose you to another side of comics that you don't think about much, and it's the people behind the scenes that put the comics together that we love so much. And hopefully I'm pointing you in the right direction and giving you some suggestions on some good things to pick up. With that being said, before we get into that, as always, I'd like to give a shout out to our friends over at the Comics Podcast Network. If you like what I do here, you want to find more of it, it's a one-stop resource to find more comic book related podcasts. I've been affiliated with the Comics Podcast Network since they started about 10, 11 years ago, and it's a great resource for comic book podcasters to help promote one another and to get everyone's content out there for fans to find it. So if you have a moment, stop by the Comic Podcast Network. You can find it at comicspodcast.com. You can find a whole variety of different shows, not just you can find them on individual characters, individual publishers, teams. You kind of name it, you have a wide gambit to select from. So take time, if you have it, to stop by the Comics Podcast Network. Again, this website is comicspodcast.com. And last but not least, I'd like to give a shout out to our sponsor for this episode, which is InStockTrades.com. One of the best places you can go online when you're looking for collected editions, omnibuses, Marvel Masterworks, just anything that is bound, anime collections, manga collections, oversized issue editions, like they had Action Comics 1000. I did an unboxing where I was showing I ordered that directly through InStockTrades.com. So anything that's a bound collection, you can pretty much find on there. They have discounts ranging from $35, $42 up to 50% off. They have a deals of the week, a section on their homepage that they update. I think it's Tuesday afternoon. They update the site every week, so they update and rotate out what deals are the 50% off that they have featured on the homepage. So definitely always check that out to see what's new. And if you happen to be a U.S.-based customer, if you place an order of $50 or more, you get free shipping within the U.S. That's only for U.S.-based customers, unfortunately. But if you happen to listen to the podcast and you live outside of the U.S., you still get all those great savings. You just don't get that one extra bonus. But they do have one of the most competitive international shipping rates that you can find around. So definitely do not let you being out of the U.S. discourage you from trying to service, because they ship all across the world. So definitely take benefit of the savings through InStockTrades.com and let them know that you did hear about them first through here on the Comic Book Savant podcast. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, with all that being said, the creator I wanted to spotlight this time is Carlos Pacheco. Last episode I did Salvador LaRocca, and I thought it was only kind of fair because for me personally, the two artists kind of go hand in hand because their styles are somewhat similar. Excuse me. The main difference, and certain times it's been hard for certain fans to kind of distinguish the two. They're similar, but yet they're different all at the same time. Plus, Carlos has a larger body of work because I'm pretty sure he's been working in comics a little bit longer than LaRocca, but they both have, an extensive library of work. As you've seen, I did a whole episode, focused on LaRocca. And Carlos always have an attachment to Carlos because one of my favorite stories of all time, which I've talked about in nauseum over the years, Avengers Forever, was done by Carlos, and I always so often go back and read it. And if I'm not mistaken, I re-reviewed a couple of years ago. I went back and reread Avengers Forever and actually did a review on it. So you can go back into the archives and check that out. I think I did it about a year or two ago. Excuse me. Sorry about that. I don't know what is going on in my throat this week. I have been having major issues. But what we're going to do, we're going to talk about some of Salvador's work, and I'm going to highlight some of his favorite works that I personally am a big fan of. And I'll just give a rundown of everything that I could find of works that he's worked on for you guys. So we're just going to start with Marvel. Because primarily the majority of his work, he did some work over in DC as well, but primarily he has done the bulk. Probably, I'll say 70% of his work came under the Marvel banner. Excuse me again. So this is in no particular order. Again, most of the time I will try to find personal sites for the individual creators, or I will look them up on Wikipedia, and a lot of times they'll have a listing of their body of work. It might not include everything, but between my personal knowledge of their work, what I can find on Wikipedia and what I can find via personal sites and what have you, I put it all together when I do the research for this to do this rundown, just to let you guys know up front. So it might not be totally complete, but it's the most complete I can get it in the time that I do the research for these episodes. Okay, I apologize. Okay, so first we have Avengers Squadron Supreme 98. I think that was like an oversized, like annual type one-shot issue that was done. And then we have Avengers Forever. He did issues 1 through 12. That series ran through 1998 through 2000. He also worked on Age of Ultron. He did issues 6 through 10. That ran in 2013. Excuse me. He also did a Bishop miniseries that ran 1 through 4 back in 94 through 95. He worked on Captain America Volume 6, issues 10 through 15, and that was through 2013 through 2014. He also did some work on Excalibur. He did issue 90. Then he worked on issues 95 through 96, 98, and then issues 103. Next, he did Fantastic Four. He did issues 415 through 416 back in 1996. Also, he worked on Fantastic Four. He worked on Volume 3, and he did issues 35 through 41, 44, 47 through 50, and then also he was writer and artist on that. And I love that little run of Fantastic Four that he did. And I actually recently, I've been super nostalgic in comics that I've been buying that I wanted to go back and read. And I actually went back and collected. I had them in trades, and they were broken up through like 3 different trades. That I had them years ago, but since I'm all digital now, I had not read them in a long time, so I picked them all up digitally on the cheap, I think like last month. So I'm going to go back and reread that run, and I might actually do an episode talking about it. So that he did this run on, or this stint on Fantastic Four from 2000 to 2002. Excuse me. Then he did Incredible Hulk Volume 4, Issue 12. He did Inhumans Volume 3, issues 1 through 4 as a writer. He did Occupy Avengers, issues 1 through 4 from 2016 to 2017. He did Squadron Sinister, issues 1 through 4 in 2015. He did Starjammers, issues 1 through 4. I'm assuming these 1 through 4s probably are like miniseries that he did. Excuse me. He did the Starjammer series through 1995 through 1996. He did Ultimate Comics Avengers issue 1 through 6 from 2009 to 2010. He did Ultimate Comics Thor issues 1 through 4 from 2010 to 2011. He did Uncanny X-Men issue 534.1, and then he worked on Uncanny X-Men Volume 2 issues 1 through 3, 9 through 10, and issue 20, and that was from 2011 through 2012. He also worked on X-Men Volume 2. He worked on issues 62 through 67, 69 through 72, issue 74, and he worked on that from 1997 through 1998. And then he did issue 1 of the X-Men miniseries, X-Men Schism. He did issue 1, and I think that was a standout because each issue, Jason Aaron had a different artist on each issue of the miniseries, and he did the first issue of that. Now over to his DC Comics work. He did Aerosmith issues 1 through 6 back in 2003 to 2004. He did DC Universe 0 issue back in 2008. He worked on Final Crisis issue 4 through 6 back in 2008 to 2009. He worked on The Flash Volume 2 issues 93 through 94 and issue 99 back in 1994 through 1995. He also worked on Green Lantern Volume 4 issues 1 through 3 and issues 7 and 8 back in 2005 to 2006. He did the JLA, JSA, Virtue and Vice. I think that was like a prestige format kind of original kind of graphic novel kind of one-shot deal. He did that back in with some stunning artwork. It was stunning. 2002, he did Justice League of America Volume 2, issue 21. He worked on Superman issues 654 through 659. Then he worked on issues 662 through 664 and issue 667, annual number 13. And he did that from 2006 to 2008. And he also worked on Superman, Batman issue 14 through 18, issues 14 through 18, and issue 26 back to 2005 to 2006. Excuse me. So he has a very, very historic and diverse portfolio of work. I think, similar to what I said about Salvador LaRocca, they both have this really great composed style. I feel like maybe LaRocca style, and this is where you can start seeing the differences in their artwork. Their structure and composition are somewhat similar, but for whatever reason, LaRocca's style tends to linger on that verge between cartoon and anime kind of influence, where Pacheco's style then it's still a comic book kind of, that you're looking at a comic book, but it starts veering a little bit more photorealistic, but it's not photorealistic at the same time. So one looks more lifelike, one always keeps the visuals centered and you're looking at a comic book. Excuse me. So that's the two distinguishing factors where I could clearly, like if you put two of their, pages side by side, I could immediately tell you which one is which just based on that, of that difference. And I feel like where, LaRocca's style is a little bit more, he's not rigid, but it's an overall, deliberateness with Pacheco's line work. He's very much like myself. I'm not loose-handed. I'm very tight-handed. So his lines are very much more, when you look at his line work, is way more deliberate. The lines are super smooth, very refined. Like he puts a lot of thought in his lines when he's composing his subjects. And that's really nerdy, and I've probably been reading comics way too long in my life that I just broke down the the uniqueness in someone's line work. But that's how I can tell the difference. Like when I really look at them side by side and up close, you'll see that certain artists have a sketchy style to them, like you can see, and if you've seen them, and it's so cool nowadays with things like YouTube and social media that have video, that like a lot of artists are really cool when like they show, like Jim Lee does it. Freddie Williams II, which is a great artist that I had a chance to meet multiple times over the years. He's a really cool guy. He does a lot of tutorial type work. Jim Chung is doing a lot of stuff. A lot of these different artists, and even the, if you don't follow like Marvel and DC are two of the best. On YouTube, where they utilize and they do different segments and different shows, and like when they're at conventions and things, they'll sit down and do like quick draw sessions with different artists. So you can see some of your favorite artists breaking down their process on how they put these images together, and it's really cool. If you haven't watched any of them, take a moment, look up Marvel on YouTube and also DC. They do. I think Marvel has a segment that's called Quick Draw, and I think DC's segment that they do on their YouTube channel, and they drop a video like once or twice a week, like what they do these with different artists, where it's like, I think DC's is called like the Artist Academy or Drawing With, and they do it, which is really, it gives you a really cool perspective of seeing what an artist does, and putting together some of these really iconic images that like we fall in love with, these covers or just different panels in different books. It's a really good experience to kind of check out if you've never seen it firsthand, like someone sketching. I've been fortunate in I haven't been to a ton of conventions, and that's one thing that I want to focus on doing going into next year, going into 2019, that I want to get back out on the road and hit up some conventions, because it's the best source. There's nothing better than going to the convention and you get to meet talent that's up and coming. I got to see and meet and talk to Matt Fraction before he ever blew up. Right, excuse me, right when he first was doing Casanova. Excuse me, I just can't get right today for some reason. I do apologize for all the coughing and the audio. I got a chance to meet him. I got a chance to meet like Scotty Young early on. I've met artists like Danielle Corsetto. That I'm trying to think about all the other different people that I got a chance to meet, like going to Artist Alley and picking up books and getting sketches. Jamal Eigel, like when he was first doing it, way back when he was doing like Firestorm. I've had a chance to meet Ed and had a meal with Ed Norton. Ed Norton is hella cool. So I kind of meet a lot of different artists that have been all over the industry, like going to conventions and just walking Artist Alley and getting sketches from people, that just seeing them draw and seeing that process. And, they were really cool. I said Ed Norton. I meant Mike Norton. I apologize about that. So I've met a lot of cool people to see their different processes. Matthias Wade, that he does. He works over for Action Labs. He does Jetta. I have sketches from all these people too, that they've gone on to do great things in comics. So that's why I always have that appreciation for writers like inkers, colorists. Like I had a chance to meet. I saw Laura Martin do a demonstration at Heroes Con in Charlotte, North Carolina, years ago. This was God, I don't know how many years ago this was, but this was right when everything was going heavily digital, and she did a tutorial on how she worked, and it was amazing. And she's just super nice, and had a chance to speak briefly, but just look at the demo she was doing on how she went about doing her color work. I got a chance to meet Maury Hollowell a few times. That he did a lot of color work for Steve McNiven's work. And he's done a lot of work for Marvel and the big companies. as well. And like just to see the process, it's amazing when you really see and you take a moment and talk to the creators behind the books, all the different things that they kind of go through to make sure we get a product that we can enjoy. So that's a lot of the passion that is linked to why I do these creator spotlight series, in hopes to open up people's eyes to the behind the scenes. And like, again, I'm recommending different books to you as well. And hopefully you'll be like, oh, I've heard of this book. Let me go back, and maybe, you might have did pay attention to the artwork on the page. So maybe I might draw your eye back to it. So definitely, if you do that, let me know. Hit me up on social media. If you go to comicbooksavant.com, you can leave comments under the posting for the audio as well as the video. So don't feel afraid not to comment there as well. If you haven't already, check out the YouTube channel. I've been going hard on YouTube, just like I've been doing with these audio podcasts as well. I'm in a zone. You guys have given me so much energy with your support. Also, subscribe to YouTube. I don't know. This might be impossible. Like, I'm at 60 some odd subscribers now. Like I said, it's been a slow going, but it's slowly but surely getting there. I want to try to get to 100 subscribers on YouTube by the end of August, and I want to finally hit over 100 followers on Instagram. So follow me on Instagram at Comic Book Savant. Look up the website on YouTube. It's just youtube.com /Comic Book Savant. I have links to everything on the website. So if you ever forget, just go to comicbooksavant.com and you'll find links to social media, the YouTube channel, everything all in that one spot. Also, check out the Facebook community. We talk comics there. I post different stuff that I'm thinking about doing. I ask for suggestions and recommendations on what to cover, what to read. So it's just I'm building up that community. Trying to build up that community more so I can interact with you guys through as many ways as possible. Because again, it helps me so much. The more I interact with you guys help me put the show together and keep me going. So it's definitely I use you guys' support to keep me going. So don't ever think that you don't help. Like, whenever you reach out, even if you just say hi, that gives me that much more energy to sit down and do another episode or do more research for another video or to film another video. So, it keeps me going so strong, and I appreciate it so much. That's all I have for you for this episode. I will have another episode coming out this week, so be on the lookout for that as well. It'll be a Comic Book Savant extra episode. So that'll be dropping in a couple of days. And I will see you guys next time. You guys be safe and have a good day. Take care.